You're watching TVC Breakfast, and we are looking at the plight of the Nigerian child. Generally, it's at 27th of May and is celebrating or commemorating World Children's Day. We have in the studio Comrade Ebenezer Omejalile, as well as Cynthia Ibe. We'll be looking at the plight of the child. Now, let's come to earlier. Cynthia said that the churches or religious organizations are not helping matters. He cited an instance. But you also said that faith-based organizations have a role to play. How do we juxtapose this in the face of ensuring that the Nigerian child or the child generally is protected?
Well, thank you. Firstly, we need to
go on, please.
Firstly, we need to distance ourselves from sentiments and religious principles, because right now, a child that is not well addressed, a defied child that is not well addressed, whether male or female, the grievances is grief, and it's unexpected. It will take a negative toll. You know, recently the United States, the United Nations are saying we have a high level of prostitution in Nigerian teenage girls now. I was involved in so many surveys.
Teenage girls?
Yes, in Brutels. In fact, we've been involved in Child Protection Network. We've been involved in so many rescues, because the Child Protection Network is about a network of agencies, both government and civil society. And everybody works this synergy that comes out. What am I trying to say here? The so-called churches and mosques, under the disguise of the law, the principles of the law, a child has been defied, but not taking into cognizance the psychological effect and the aftermath of what the child will go through. We thank God for an outfit like Mirabel Center, which is fourth of a kind in this country, that takes up treatment of defied children. Even if the child is defied 3 months ago, the forensic test treatment will be revealed. And it is now the Lagos State government and all the magistrates. Recently, UNICEF and Child Protection, we engaged the magistrates, because those are one of the bottlenecks we have regarding this issue, brother-in-law. And the guy is at large now.
A 12-year-old?
Yes, a 12-year-old. Before, when we got wind of the issue, the pregnancy had already been aborted. It was reported by a faith-based and the community development, who called my attention that this is what is going on. Initially, they would say, okay, it's a pastor who said, I'm going to take care of it. When he now found out, come in, this is what is going on, and the community development. But unfortunately for us, we were at the perpetrator's place, but we didn't know him facially. And he's this guy that does this tricycle, Keke Marwa, as they call it. And he had 3 kids already. And this girl is an orphan. He's a niece to the wife. And before you knew it, he started taking advantage of the girl, and she was pregnant. And she took that girl, the aunt took the girl to a friend who was in need of somebody that will assist her, because she runs a kerosene business. And she observed that this girl is always sleeping and all that. She doesn't have any experience of pregnancy, teenage pregnancy, and called the aunt's attention that your girl is always sleeping, but whenever I'm around, she does all the necessary domestic work. It was an old woman in the compound who said, this girl is pregnant. You know, these kids of nowadays, they have this rapid growth. She's as tall as I am.
All right.
And I said, okay, are you sure? And they took off her clothes and saw the stretch mark there, which was, and the test confirmed she was formally pregnant.
Okay. All right.
Now,
we'll come back to that certainly. Let's look at another perspective to the story. A group in Lagos, in conjunction with the state government, is working to ensure that the Nigerian child knows where to go when in need of help, counseling and protecting against all forms of abuse.
Safeguarding the Nigerian child is a duty this social development group has taken upon itself.
We need to do what we can to make sure that tomorrow they'll become capable leaders that are emotionally, physically, psychologically stable to handle great decisions for the nation. We are going to go hold. So where are we going to entrust the future to? These are the children, and we can do it, and we need to do it now.
To be aware of abuse around them. Parents need to be aware of abuse. our professionals need to be aware of abuse.
This day, the discussion is centered on ensuring that children are aware of their rights, that policies and procedures to safeguard their welfare, health and well-being are in place. Yes, their desire is to see Nigerian children protected from abuse, neglect and harassment, but they are also mindful of spoiling them.
The focus of empowering the children has now become so high on so many agendas that children don't even want to listen to parents anymore. We need to be careful. We need to balance safeguarding our culture and with a good heart.
Lagos lawmaker Funmilayo Tejuosho says the state is also serious about laws that protect the children.
The Lagos State government has also put on counseling centers in all the local governments just to make sure that you can get people right there next to you to counsel you on issues of domestic violence. We continue to encourage our people to be your neighbor's keeper, your brother's keeper, your sister's keeper, and make sure that where there's a problem, you call for help for those people. And these are the reasons why we are broadcasting the numbers to call. 112 is very easy to remember.
They noted that safeguarding the children is ensuring that the future is well preserved. Wendy Abu, TVC News, Lagos.
All right, that's a perspective. Apart from that, the Senate is also making moves to protect the rights of children. Let's listen to some of their submissions.
Despite what is going on to our children, we still want to celebrate them, that the Senate is with them to enact laws that will protect them and also to do what is needful to make sure that such violence will come to an end. The Senate appreciates the children of Nigeria through the passage of legislation such as the Child Rights Act 2003.
We must rise to condemn this act of violence against our children, because as I said before, our children remain our future. What do you owe these children? I've said we owe them protection, we also owe them provision, especially the basic things of life, like health care.
And as well, we can look at giving out rebates to pregnant women and also children when they attend public hospitals. If we give them rebates, at least we are starting from somewhere.
As part of our additional prayer, we've also directed the police to look at this pathetic case of Murtala Mohammed and use that as an example, truly, of our commitment. There's nothing we can provide for our children than to protect them and to ensure that we provide safety, shelter, education. And in celebrating, it's not only by what we say, but we should redouble our efforts.
It's good to hear the Senate President say that it's not about what they say, but to redouble their effort. Exactly. Because it's not just another talk shop, really.
I remember Cynthia talking about bottlenecks earlier on. She talked about system, and certainly Beniza also talked about bottlenecks earlier. But let me come to you, Cynthia, on this. When it comes to the issue of those who perpetrate these acts, what really, from what you have heard and cases that have come before you, what really makes anyone look to a child to abuse the child?
Upbringing, and being in charge. I feel, oh no, if I go to her, nobody will know. She won't tell anybody. And I can keep having my way with her, and I wouldn't be paying her anything. Like the case, the guy was always giving her a doll.
So is it the product of just mischief, or there are some socioeconomic factors that push anyone to look at a child and want to abuse her?
Mischief, joblessness, laying up, just being on the streets and moving about. Some people just wake up in the morning and they don't go anywhere. They're in their house. And they say the idle mind, it's the devil's workshop. And before you know it, they begin to imagine all sorts. They are always feeding their eyes on pornography. Oh, no, let me try this out. Let me try it out.
Okay. All right, let's look at the issue of child labor in Nigeria. How would you say the government has fared in area of tackling that, or at least reducing it?
I'm aware the Lagos State government, I always refer to the Lagos State government in the aspect of their operation. They've tried as much as possible to take those kids away from the streets. Like when you're in the traffic, you see a 5-year-old hawking pure water, and also you see all manners of children on the street. And the aspect of trying to, provide the basic need. If the parents have not been able to provide the basic need, they push these children. Some of these children are breadwinners to their family. And the child labor aspect, as you know, the child labor it's what prevents a child from going to school and also affect the child mentally, socially, emotionally. And also, it also takes a toll on the economy in times of down. Now they're clamoring for minimum wage, where you have these characteristics of, you have the exploration, you have the agriculture, you have the commercials, and these children are tied to one of these. And like you have over 217 million children across the globe who are involved in this child labor, of which Africa, Sub-Saharan Nigeria, I can account for about 60% of it, which some of them are into, like what they say, they're into mining, some of them are into clothes selling, they are into cotton, harvesting, and these are dangerous situations that affect these children. And going forward with this, I've not seen any state yet to duplicate what the Lagos State government has been trying to do. Because now, like I said, the aggressive awareness and campaign, at least the basic need of the child should be provided. And also the issue of broken homes. Breaking of broken homes is also cropping up. It's also affecting this issue we're discussing now.
All right.
So many times we have these issues where now you trace it. Out of every 5 cases, 3 are from broken homes.
All right, broken homes, if we have to take it from that, or maybe let me go to the issue of justice for victims. Cynthia, let me come to you on this because you are from the legal and advocacy office, as the case may be. When it comes to justice for people who are abused, would you say that a lot of people have gotten justice for reporting cases against abuse of a child?
Those that have followed the case to a logical conclusion, because it's one thing to report the case and it's another thing to see it to the end. It may take time because we're still trying to buy this thing that defilement is truly a crime against the child and against the society. So justice is takes place when it's seen to the logical conclusion. Not halfway, the church comes in or the family members put pressure and the case is withdrawn.
Okay, talking about prosecution and justice, let's tie back to the issue of child labor and the Child Rights Act that you have, the sections and the articles in that act that protects the child. We understand that the act itself recognizes, or the ILO itself recognizes the issue of light labor, where a child can engage in some kind of light work. And Section 28 of that particular act talks about such light work where children can do this and can do that. But some nitty-gritty of what constitutes into that light work is not stipulated in that particular section of the act. So do you get to see cases where even parents abuse their own children in terms of child labor?
Yes. I also read through that ILO, and a child can have light work in the sense that after school you can do just something menial. It doesn't stretch that child. She's still, he or she is still physically fit for the school work. But some parents stretch it, hawking not just on the streets, but outside and then way into the night. Or you see them hawk during school hours. It's not proper.
Okay, since the act, even if it's domesticated any part of the country, if it's domesticated and that particular section is as loose as it is, how do you hold parents culpable in this case if they've abused the children?
Of course, that's why you have NGOs and you have law organizations. They would definitely look into it before it's passed. And of course, if it's going to be passed, a lot of deliberations will go.
So the act is already there.
Already there.
We need the state to domesticate it. Should they domesticate it the way it is right now with that some loose passage there, really?
I don't think so, because parents will rely on it and say, oh, but what constitutes light labor to me might not constitute light labor to you.
Yeah, exactly. But in the vagueness of this, cases will come up where the child is abused because there is no specification as to this falls under light and this falls. So if it is open to interpretation of the parents, how do you prosecute when a child is
abused?
For instance, you said that you gave instances where a child is sent out to sell or hawk things on the street, or maybe late into the night, as the case may be. You see them at bus stops. Now, a parent will interpret from the perspective of, okay, fine, he's trying to contribute to what I'm doing. So how do you interpret that when these specifications are not there in the act?
That light labor is really tricky because like I said before, what constitutes light labor to me might not constitute light labor to another person. So I think it has to be pinned and listed.
Okay.
In such instance, this would be light, and in this instance, this would now amount to an offense.
Okay. Let's have Moses Omoghen here now to give us a perspective of what the people are saying. It is Children's Day. Moses, good morning. Hello. And happy Children's Day.
Yes, very happy Children's Day to everyone.
You feel like a child this morning?
Yes, I am a child at heart, actually. Yeah, a huge baby for that. Well, technically it's everybody's day because, I mean, everyone was a child at some point in their lives. So happy Children's Day to everyone here. And to those watching, of course. Okay, so with the hashtag child rights and child labor, a lot of people had very interesting comments on social media. On Facebook, we had a TCF baby, and he says, apparently child labor laws are non-existent in Nigeria. If you're in doubt, visit your nearest mechanic today. LOL. Okay, why would you even allow a child to service your car in the first place? And Shola Nimashon says, most housemaids are examples of pure child labor in Nigeria. Very, very interesting point there. And Intense 9G says, it is sad to know that over 41% of children in Africa aged 5 to 14 are involved in child labor. Hashtag Intense Patriot. And Ishmael Yawale says, child labor should be stopped. 59 million children in Africa alone. That is a significant number. I agree. And Saleh says, media must play its role in educating society about child labor and abuse if we want Nigeria to move forward. Hence the reason why we're having this discussed in the first place. And Poetic and Assassin says about 30 million children are engaged in child labor one way or the other in Nigeria. Hashtag Love in the Mirror, hashtag Legal Fiction. And Lukman Dagum says the issue with combating child labor is that the organic of the society feels threatened. But is that an excuse enough to scare us? Very interesting point there. So these are the concerns really of people on social media. But like there was a point that you raised earlier, and I find it quite interesting. Now, some of these kids, it's quite difficult to even merely reduce the rate of child labor in Nigeria because some of these kids are even breadwinners of their family. Now, when you find families or parents guilty of child labor or other infringement of other child rights, when you in fact prosecute these parents, what are the other forms of succor is being led for these kids? Because last time I checked, we don't really have child welfare down here. So what is left for these kids?
Well, if I were to respond to you, like I said, I always refer back to the Lagos State system. And the Lagos State, as you know, at the point came up, the Ministry of Women Affairs and Ministry of Youth and Social Development came up with a yellow card informing parents. They also interpreted it in the various languages, Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, English, for you to be at least you'll be able to key into one of them if you can't speak. That informing parents that if this child is seen in this particular zone, the child will be taken away from you. I don't know if you're aware that Lagos State government has some welfare homes.
Yeah.
You have some social welfare homes where, and also that's where you talk about the civil society. They are also complementing the efforts of the government. And for instance, the widows who were deprived of their husband's assets, what have you, and most of them, there are some sisters organizations who are also empowering them to the extent of also ensuring that they get them accommodation, and these children are also subjected to one education or the other. The government cannot do it all alone. But in place of what we've seen so far, at the time they were raiding those kids, and we kicked against that. You don't put them in Black Maria. They are not criminals. They are minor. You know, at a point in the police stations, UNICEF will call that there's a minor in the police station that is in the cell.
Even in court, you see them
Further
in the
infringing the
dock.
child's
Yes, infringing the
rights.
rights, right. There's a minor. You're not supposed to do that. And you know, a journey of 1,000 miles, they say, commences with a step, and things are beginning to take shape. It has been long. It's an oversight that has been. I won't use the word deliberate negligence on the part of the government, but somebody has to start it. From what we are seeing now, and I know we'll get there with the effort we are putting in regarding these children. And the social welfare, like I said, to my best of knowledge that I've seen with them, they've done fantastically well.
Well, I don't know if fantastically well.
But
we're getting there.
Well, maybe the fantastically is derived from David Cameron, maybe, if I have to take it from there. But however, Moses, thank you.
Yeah, we'll be coming back.
We'll certainly see you again.
All right.
All right. Now, TVC News also tracked a story on child labor in Lagos. Let's play that story back to clearly explain the plight of the Nigerian child.
Who's gonna bring out the smiles on your faces? Who's gonna make us laugh?
A drive through town shows the levels to which Nigeria has reduced our future generation, the children, on the streets having to make a living for themselves and their families. Here in Lagos, it's a sight that confronts you at almost every street corner or highway. Children of all ages capitalizing on traffic gridlocks, hoping to make quick sales at the risk of being run over. All this while their privileged mates watch television, play video games and sleep at home. Their stories are different, and most of them are too shy to tell their grim stories.
The reason why that I'm selling this garment, I want to use it to feed myself, and I'll use it so they will give me I'll carry it to school. I used to see some of my mates, they used to sell market. I want my life to be like that.
My mommy used it to pay our school fees and help us for some things to eat. It affects my studies. If I want to do my homework, I cannot do it before in the evening. That is how I used to do my homework. I want the governor to help us so that we will not be selling around this place, and we should not be making all these armed robbers thieves to be attacking us wherever we are.
On one occasion, we came across this 8-year-old girl who, having misplaced the money she made selling granite, was too scared to go home. She chose this sport to rule the inevitable.
Your money lost, how much? 1.5.
This is only one of the problems a section of the child population in Africa face. On the continent, child labor and exploitation are hardly seen as abnormal. Still, the United Nations Children Emergency Fund UNICEF Charter affirms that every child is entitled to the basic necessities of life.
All right, you just watched that clip now. Let me come to Ebenezer on this. You have watched those clips there, and the clip there, all the children there are in Lagos State. So if we have to take it from your fantastically, how government has performed, how would you say the government has fantastically performed in protecting the rights of those children.
You know, most of these kids, they are all migrants from other states.
But they're in Lagos State.
They are in Lagos State.
Within the territories of
Lagos State. And in as much as we know, they've tried as much as possible to try to take them off the streets, but they kept on increasing from reasons that are unexplainable. From what we see in the states, that statistically done at the time, they were aggressive about it, but they come up, like I told you, like I said earlier on, most of these kids are breadwinners to their homes.
So are the agencies trying to consider the fact that these are breadwinners? Let's give them some leeway, or the agencies are generally just overwhelmed where they don't have what it takes to take those children?
I would say they were equally overwhelmed too. You can't give what you don't have, and that was also not enough hands and also necessary incentives to work with to make this thing work effectively. I didn't believe Nigeria has a kind of social security that exists in the Western world. We won't be talking about street children right now, but that's also is a constraint on the part of the Nigerian aspect.
All right, so in that case, the government has not done fantastically well enough.
No, not really enough.
Okay, it's good that you came to that conclusion on your own right now. But Cynthia, what's your reaction to the clips we just watched?
And it is so alarming because I don't know why I would send my child to go and hawk for me, because I feel that child would bring something better, you know, not minding the risk. I mean, that girl that was sitting down there, she could have been raped.
Several of them raped.
And she would go home, the parents wouldn't even mind or care as long as the money is coming. I still feel the burden is still on the parents, because even if the NGOs are there, you know, I work for Alliances for Africa, even if they are there dragging them out of the streets, the parents are still there pushing them out to the streets.
So what do you think is the way forward when it comes to preventing these circumstances?
Parents need to be reoriented, and the government still needs to do more.
Yeah, we certainly know that money sometimes, partner agencies have been called upon to collaborate towards educating, enlightening and so on, but it seems that strategy is not working enough. What other strategies should be put in place to ensure that these children are protected? Because they don't care whatever system is there, theirs is, let me be protected.
It will really take a long time. Okay.
So we don't see help coming from the perspective you're
okay,
taking.
perhaps let's look at the curriculum in the school, the education system we have in Nigeria today, where you say, of course, the ILO recognizes when a child goes to learn how to be a hairdresser, how to be a mechanic, for instance, and ILO says it's on the child labor when a child engages in that, and the mother or the parents don't have money to send these children to school. Is it possible that the curriculum is for those who probably want to go to school? Is it possible that the curriculum can be a bit more accommodating, or should we try to look at the issue of vocational training and vocational colleges in Nigeria, probably that's affordable?
Yeah, they are. You know, the technical, that's why you have the technical schools across the country, to those who aren't able to go to the tertiary institution like the universities. And the issue of catching them young comes in now. In as much we're trying to protect these children from all sorts of risk, and the issue of how to make use of the community resources to solve the community problem, subject them, would like to engage the Lagos State government, and we're still trying to do that in the area of, there's a difference between vocational skill and entrepreneurship. The vocational skill you have are skills you acquired, but how do you convert that vocational skill into a money-making venture? So that's like we have the issue of employed, underemployed. The employed ones enjoy what they are doing. You enjoy what you are doing. The underemployed might be here, is somewhere else, and the production level reduces. So the same thing could be traced back to the childhood of the child should know what he's good at. So when we're talking about the entrepreneurship program that students can see, most of them, they excel in the entrepreneurship program. You'll be overwhelmed with that they are already doing one thing or the other, like I rightly said, when they go back home, that the light trade they do. So when they say, okay, how do I engage myself into community stewardship, civic education? And you now say that they'll be able to fly with that I have options. So it's not a question of, you must be a doctor. You must be an engineer. I'm an engineer. No. Like we have in the Nigerian entertainment industry today, we have dentists, we have lawyers. And this, I would just say, is a waste of fund. That the child actually has a particular talent that you did not discover. So everything boils back to the primary caregivers, which is the family. And that's what we're talking about, that the issue of the child engagement in terms of vocational skill, everybody cannot go to vocational skill because you don't know what they are good at. But right from the school, in the curriculum now, like what they're trying to do, trying to make them big, we're talking about real practical, not theory. Like what we do in the Child Protection Network, our aims and objectives is practical, proven, practical based, and impact driven. And that's why we're saying that we synergize all these aspects of life to make the child comfortable. If the child sees what they're doing, like, okay, you're subjecting them to entrepreneurship activities. Okay, how do I start a business? How do I generate a business? Who funds my business? Money cannot come overnight. These are what I can take advantage, I can leverage on government opportunities. Like the Goswell State government have a Ministry of Wealth and Creation, which have been there, and I'm trying to see what's going to come out for the student, for the Nigerian child. So the vision of the vocational skill should be optional. And it's time we engage them right from both primary, secondary. Because right from that cradle, as they're aspiring, the child already knows what he wants. He's already engaged on the choice of career he or she decides to take. I think that alone will also reduce the number of these incidents, because at night, these children, they turn into a monster.
All right. Comrade Ebenezer Omejalile, Assistant General Secretary of the Child Protection Network, Lagos State, thanks for coming on the program.